Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Most Excellent 80s Movies Podcast. Want to skip those ads and get early access? Become a member at truestory.fm/join and discover all the other great perks that come with it. Hello and welcome to the Most Excellent 80s Movies Podcast. It's the podcast where a filmmaker, a comedian, and their fabulous guests bungle and bumble their way through the 80s movies we think we love or might have missed with these our modern eyes to see how they hold up. And today we're talking about Spies Like Us, a movie selection from 1985, about which Letterboxd says, with spies like these, who needs enemies? Two bumbling government employees think they are U.S. spies, only to discover that they are actually decoys for nuclear war. Ooh. All right, here comes the trailer.
Spies Like Us. Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd.
We've got a very special assignment for you two.
Boy.
Heads down!
This is my sister. You can all have her.
You want some coffee? That's a good idea.
See that?
Hey, come on.
Honestly, you two are unbelievable.
Stop!
Every minute you don't tell us why you're here, I cut off a finger.
Mine or yours?
Yours.
Damn!
Go!
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
Chevy Chase.
Get us the hell out of here!
Dan Aykroyd.
To think my high school guidance counselor said I'd never amount to anything.
Spies Like Us.
We're Americans!
At the end it says, coming for Christmas to a theater near you. This was a Christmas movie.
Oh, man.
I'm Krissy Lenz, one of the directors at the Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona. And with me, as always, is...
Nathan Blackwell, independent filmmaker with Squishy Studios.
And joining us today is the picker of this movie, the director and producer of the musical catering company that performs monthly at the Neighborhood Comedy Theater. It's fabulous comedian Jordan Collier.
Welcome back.
Hello. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned this movie and we were like, okay, we have to do it.
Yeah.
Because this was your...
Yeah, it's
your deep cut recommendation.
This is one of my childhood go-tos for whatever reason.
Yeah, I had the same experience. It was like I probably saw it in many times in an intense from the age of 10, 11 or 12. Probably saw it several times over, and then took a 30-year break.
Yeah.
Exactly. I haven't watched it since I was maybe 15.
Perfect.
Okay, good. So we have kind of similar experiences of childhood me loved it. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's still great.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to make me laugh the whole time.
Oh my God. It's so gonna it's going to be great.
I had never seen this movie. This was my first experience with Spies Like Us. And I don't know why I would have missed it. It seems like this is the kind of movie that my family would have thrown in constantly. Always watching very similar movies, but for some reason, Spies Like Me never made the Stewart family cut.
Well, that's a darn shame. I'm glad you got to finally see it.
Yeah, I watched it on a plane on the way to Portland this week, and so I don't have any notes because I didn't have enough room in my seat to both watch it and take notes. So I'm rocking just based on vibes and memory over watching them on the
All
plane.
Right.
Well, luckily, I took more notes than I've ever taken for one of our movies. And I wouldn't say that's an encouraging thing.
Okay.
But yeah. Are we starting with hot takes? No, let's just roll out. Let's go beat by beat in terms of the story, and we'll and the audience can suss out how we feel.
So
yeah,
I was actually confused by the beginning of the story. So the very first thing that we see is a big bomb being wheeled through the trees and just knocking down trees and like coming to rest in the middle of nowhere in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And then we meet a bunch of spies, a bunch of stuffy spy people who are just like too classy for words and very
spy handlers. They're not. I would classify them as like management spy handlers. You know.
Yeah, spy adjacent, maybe.
Right. Spy. You know, it's like. They get the nice office, they get the secret intel, but they don't seem like they're at the top for sure. It feels like they're in a middle zone and they're jockeying for more success in their career.
Yeah, need to know basis too, wheeling it out.
Exactly. Yeah. It seems like they've got something to prove.
But there's very funny bits about the Acme Tomato Company being like the front for all of this, and a guy with a briefcase with one single picture in it shackled to his wrist. And when he gets to these spy management guys, he's like, I have the intel. And they're like, well, give it to us. I can't. It's shackled to my wrist. Well, open the thing. I can't. It's tied to the shackle, and you don't see them like get very frustrated. Like, well, how the hell do we get the picture then?
Right? Is this their first time spying? Like, there's got to be a process through that, right?
Right.
So with this movie, I had a lot of like I felt that with any kind of comedy, it's got to establish kind of what is the tone of the piece, like how realistic is it, how broad is it, how what do the characters really want, like do they exist in a world where Bob Hope can just magically enter a tent and appear?
Yeah.
Like, are we existing in like something like Shaun of the Dead, to where there's comedic things, but it's a very real world with real consequences, people can die, or is it Top Secret, where it's total spoof and whatever the filmmakers want can happen? It's completely ridiculous. And I found I was having a lot of problems like gauging the tone, and it kept going higher and higher. Like, it didn't kind of really inform you what the tone was. It went with some of its broadest stuff like a half hour in.
Yeah, it's tough to nail down, and to me it wasn't silly enough. Like, I wanted more silliness.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it being really silly,
yes,
and really like just slapstick and buddy comedy. But yeah, I was kind of like misremembering, or like maybe creating more in my head because I watched it so much as a kid. So I was I was a little disappointed.
Yeah. And here's my question is, like, are they buddies? Like, when they meet each other, when we first meet each of them, Chevy Chase is sort of like a flies by the seat of his pants, doesn't care, very
diplomat.
Yeah, but he's so
yeah, right.
nonchalant. When they ask him if he's taking the test the next day, he's like, "Oh, I've taken it 4 times." So we get the idea that he's an idiot who is like failing his way to the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Dan Aykroyd is working as a code breaker in the basement of like the beyond basement and like a sub basement, and I got the impression that he was like a real studious, efficient, no nonsense type.
But yes,
yeah, he didn't seem very like a bumbling idiot, like the same way that Chevy Chase was.
Right. He was much more, a little bit more of a misanthrope, like the whole people thing, not so much. But also he was just, I felt like he was more of a victim of being really good at something and being abused by his bosses, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
But I think a good way to describe like Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd and their characters is that Chevy Chase is full on 100% just doing whatever Chevy Chase wants to do. That's his character. And Dan Aykroyd, who was one of the writers of the script, is kind of doing his like a less enthusiastic version of Ray Stantz from Ghostbusters, almost kind of like Ray and like Harold Ramis combined, which is like they're very like logical versus, you know, like the emotional, kind of like chaotic Chevy Chase, but they're basically just doing themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they really needed more tension between them, as though they didn't want to be paired up, because like as soon as they do the test cheating scene, it goes from feeling like I'm just like, his name, Dan Aykroyd is like reluctant to cheat, to going he's full force in it, doing stupid stilly stunts.
Yeah, 180 really fast. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that test cheating scene, that was that was just like, it's like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Chevy, just do whatever you want. We'll just keep the cameras rolling. It'll be a 10-minute scene. It'll be just comedy gold. Just go for it. And there's like no, like the first one or two things, like Frank Oz, God bless him, was the teacher. I love Frank Oz.
Yeah,
and
he's great.
He's supposed to be like the stern taskmaster, folding his arms in disapproval. The first thing that Chevy Chase did should have gotten him thrown out of the room, you know?
Right.
And he just keeps doing more and more shtick, you know, with the eye patch. Like, what did he actually write? What could you write on an eye patch for like a 10-page, 50-question spy exam? You know,
and then barely lift it above your eye to see it. Yeah.
And then he pulls
and then
the paper out of his
fake arm too.
Oh, the fake arm was ridiculous. And it's like, you're training to be a spy. Be better at cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're rolling on the floor, like pretending that they're having a heart attack. And by that point, Dan Aykroyd's character is all in, and I'm just like, when did that flip happen? Because I think Dan Aykroyd's character should have hated Chevy Chase's character.
Yeah, that
should have been super embarrassed. Yeah,
yeah, they should have kept that tension throughout. I think, and then that would have been something for them to overcome and eventually be on the same side halfway through the movie. Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah. I also thought they needed a third guy. Like, I found Chevy Chase like profoundly unlikable in this movie. And
Dan
Aykroyd is...
That's so strange. How could that happen?
Yeah, I know,
to
right?
Chevy Chase?
No. Never Chevy Chase, but I find him likable in all of the National Lampoon movies and in Three Amigos.
So I want to make this comparison. So Spies Like Us is 1985.
Yep.
Directed by John Landis with Chevy Chase, written by Dan Aykroyd and two others. Three Amigos is 1 year later, directed by John Landis with Chevy Chase. And in terms of writing and in terms of just like comedic muscle, they're so different. You know? Like, I feel like Spies Like Us is pretty meandering.
Yeah. They needed a third guy. They needed a Bill Murray or a Steve Martin to complete a trio of some kind. And
or even like a Harold Ramis who they keep meeting in the field as their contact, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my big takeaway, was just that I was like, where's the third guy? And the third guy ends up being Dan Aykroyd's wife, Donna Dixon, who is also a spy, but I'm jumping way ahead. So they they get selected to be the higher ups decide that they need 2 expendable men to send on this very sensitive mission to
the original
distract.
Expendables.
Yes.
There you go.
This is where Sly Stallone got his inspiration, I think. But they're gonna go be decoys for the real mission. Of course, they don't know this, but we know this as the audience. So they get to go through a very ridiculous training montage that includes ninjas.
Yeah, it starts with them dropping in the woods with a bunch of ninjas,
white ninjas,
which they think are just attacking them.
And then they have to do a bunch of like obstacle courses with people shooting guns at them, and they have to crash a plane that just falls into the ground, and they do a G-force test that makes their faces all ridiculous, and it's comedy at its finest. No,
I feel like this movie, like its peak level is as a trailer. Like you've got all of these like goofy moments of them in a test chamber, and them like, what do I do with this grenade? I don't know, you know, and them in weird costumes, and them trying to speak to people who don't understand them, or even if you just kind of come in and for a moment, it's like, oh, and then you see this fun little scene. The problem is that the stakes aren't there. There's no electricity between them. Yeah, it's to me it feels like it's the script's fault, you know, and whenever we say like the story or the script, that doesn't necessarily, this is just kind of like behind the scenes stuff, that doesn't necessarily mean it was the screenwriter's fault,
right?
Sometimes people have influence, like we don't know if Chevy Chase used his influence to change all these different points, or they even allowed him to go nuts. It's like, well, we need Chevy Chase to greenlight this movie, you know? I think originally it was supposed to be John Belushi.
Right, it was.
Yeah, I read that as well, yep.
And so who knows what happened behind the scenes, but yeah, it's just missing that tension, I think, that you mentioned.
But I could totally see being delighted by the training sequence as a kid and just being like,
oh, yeah.
This is so silly. They're bad at their job.
I think these are the memories that Jordan and I were both like hanging on to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, desperately. Yes.
The goofiness. Like, I feel like this movie was made for like a 12-year-old by 12-year-olds.
Yeah. Which is where Chevy Chase really shines. Aside from all of his like very misogynistic jokes against women, where his character's like only goal in life is to get laid or to pawn his sister off on a dozen ninjas. It's very repellent to me. Yeah. To me, with my 2025 eyes, I just found it to be repugnant. And
I didn't love it.
Yeah, but I can see it totally going over a 12-year-old's head.
Oh,
sure.
And then you even think that that's goofy, and you don't understand what that really means. You know, it just becomes another shtick. You know.
Yeah. Because this also is a movie that I quoted with my friends a lot too. Yeah. Like I showed my friends this movie. Like,
oh, Spies Like Us, you're gonna love it. They're spies.
Another Friday night gang. Yeah.
They're spies, but they're bad at their job. But they weren't.
And it just keeps going on.
They weren't bad enough at their job, you know. And it was weird because you got the impression at the beginning that Dan Aykroyd was really good at his job. So I was just confused there. Like if I was in an improv scene with that character, I'd be like, what does your character want? Like, did your character want to be in the field, or do you just want to get out of the basement? I'm confused. So anyway, they get sent into enemy territory in a big crate that's full of snacks. And then we immediately have another moment where it's like, okay, but wait, Dan Aykroyd is good at his job, because they get picked up by two white guys in the middle of like an obviously not white country. Do you guys remember what country they get dropped into?
Afghanistan.
Oh boy.
Okay.
It was Afghanistan.
It's Afghanistan? Yeah. Okay.
And these two white guys are like, we're your contacts. And he's like, great. So they start driving away in a Jeep together. And Dan Aykroyd's like, oh no, his watch is Soviet era, a copy of an American watch. These guys are Soviets. Okay, that's really good spy craft. He's doing a good job. After an annoying scene where he's like, don't you have to take a piss? And he's like, no, I don't. I think I should know if I had to take a piss. And he's like, no, you really do have to take a whiz right now. And he's like, oh, okay. After much convincing, too much convincing, I would say. So they get away from the Russians and find a bunch of doctors at a village settlement and pose as doctors. The funniest bit, I think, in the whole movie is when they're like, doctor, doctor.
Yes.
Doctor?
I was just going to say my favorite part of the whole movie is that bit.
Yeah.
And that's what I remember the most. Doctor?
Doctor.
Yeah. Agreed.
Doctor.
Agreed.
When they're
Doctor.
and two of the doctors, one is fucking Terry Gilliam and the other is Ray Harryhausen. Like, John Landis has this thing to where he will put directors in cameos, and it only gets worse from here. Like the peak or maybe the nadir of that, of just having directors be in all these cameos, I think, is Beverly Hills Cop 3, with George Lucas being an angry, like roller coaster guy in the line being, hey, don't cut me in line. Yeah, it gets really rough. Just how many cameos like John Landis tries to put in. But that blew my mind that Terry Gilliam was the one with a German accent.
So they have to try and do appendix surgery, and obviously they can't do it. Dan Aykroyd is reading under the table from a textbook about what to do, and the guy dies, thankfully, before they have to cut him open. But they end up having to go on the run from this little village.
Yeah, I think that you talk about like what is the tone of the comedy? Like, what is, because you're with any story, you're kind of creating what is reality, what are the consequences, what are the morals of the universe, you know? You know, like you could have a realistic movie where someone goes rogue and it's treated as a illegal act. Or you could have a movie where someone goes rogue and that's what they should do, damn it. There's like a built-in like code. But you're also like building in like the reality of the comedy. And there's two moments that just derailed the movie for me in the camp. That was where literally Bob Hope comes in because his golf ball rolled into their camp and he was just playing through, and then he kept going. Like that is full on like Hot Shots Naked Gun.
Yeah, and I wanted more of that instead of less of it.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that a half hour in. You've got to start with that if that's the rule.
And then never do it again. Yeah.
But the other one is like they go to start the operation on the guy, and they just touch him with the scalpel, and then he seizes with a heart attack and dies.
Yep. They don't even like cut into him. Like we could have had some really funny moments where they're like pulling out yard after yard of intestines or something.
Yeah. Like honestly, like one incision and then uncontrollable blood. You know?
Yeah.
That would have been hilarious.
If you're gonna go there. Yeah. Yeah.
There's
make it slapstick. Yeah.
There's a moment where he's about to do the incision and he's like at the chest and they're like, stop, you're about to cut into his chest. And he's like, no, I wasn't. And then he makes eye contact with one of the other doctors and like he nods no as he moves the blade lower and lower. And then when he finally gets to like the abdomen, he nods yes. And it's like, okay, at this point, you're not suspicious of these two guys?
Right. At some point, wouldn't one of the doctors take over? It's like the test cheating thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like there is a plot bubble that lets them just mug and do their shtick, you know?
And we later learn it's because the other two doctors were also the spies, the real spies who were sent there to do the real mission, and that's why they couldn't do the surgery.
Right, the non-decoys.
But I don't think they needed to explain that to us. It should have been a bit, you know, like it should have been more bits, more opportunities for comedy. So then they have to go on the run. And they're like, well, we got to get back home. And because they don't know what their end game of the mission is. So they're like, send us back home, for God's sakes. They call collect to the Pentagon. And they're like, we have a collect call from two spies. And they're like, what? On a public line? And it's like, yep, that's what they did.
Here it is.
From a payphone. Silly, but not silly enough.
Yeah. It's silly enough for me to smile a little bit, but I'm not laughing consistently, and that was that was hurtful for young Jordan.
Yeah. Little baby Jordan is getting let down.
Yeah. Memory Jordan is bummed.
Yeah, fact.
Later they meet up with Donna Dixon's character and they're like, okay, well, she's the real spy. We're just decoys, but we are going to try and stick together and complete this mission. So they walk into Russia. Am I remembering that right? How do they get into Russia?
They dress like the natives.
In head to toe furs.
Right. Yeah.
Which they don't really explain where they get that fur, right? Or is that correct? Or they're just one moment all of a sudden they have all that stuff on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They use their spy wiles.
There you go.
But they do look ridiculous in their head to toe puffy furs.
And
then they just like walk into the Russian snowy wilderness. And they find the bomb. And so her partner has died at this point. And she's like, well, I've got to take over this encampment and do whatever I have to do with this bomb. And they're like, okay, we'll help you. And they do it. They take over the camp. They take the Russian soldiers all hostage. And lo and behold, the details of her mission are not to disarm the missile, but to launch it.
Yes.
Whoops. Uh-oh.
Whoops-a-doodles.
Which if someone went to go get a cold drink from the refrigerator and didn't pause the movie and missed that part, then the later parts would be surprising.
Yeah. Like, what just happened?
Yeah. But the point of launching the missile was so that the Americans could test out their Star Wars technology and try and blow the missile out of the sky with their satellites, which they don't do. And then
they totally biff.
They totally biff it. Yeah, and then our two guys from the beginning, our spy managers, are like, well, we got to do something. We have to tell the president that we launched the missile. And the general guy is like, no.
Yeah. What's revealed is that the general is kind of like General like Ripper from Doctor Strangelove is like, I'm going to start a war. I'm going to start a situation to where we have to retaliate against them. So the whole plan is that the bad guy, our spies are supposed to sneak into Russia, launch a nuke at America, which we stop, but that gives us a reason to escalate or even fire on them.
But since they don't stop the missile, they're just going to let it hit.
Yes.
Detroit, they say, but then the missile looks to be pointed at New York. So they're like, we can live down here for 17 months in this bunker. And the two spy manager guys are like, we would prefer not to do that. Can we please tell the president that we launched this nuke? And they're like, nope, we're going to go to all out nuclear war and the whole world is going to be destroyed. And so that's that until back at the camp, Dan Aykroyd does some quick math, which again, good spy work. And he's like, I guess we have about 45 minutes until the end of the world. So they decide to pair off and all have sex with each other.
Yep.
And then 45 minutes or like 40 minutes later, it's broad daylight.
Yeah. And he's like,
oh,
wait a minute. I know how to stop the missile. We can use our equipment to jack into the satellite and point the missile out into space. So that's what they do. And the funny bit is that Chevy Chase has to hold two wires together that are electrocuting him the whole time that they're rerouting the missile. And that's a little bit funny. I like seeing him in pain.
I'm glad you told me that was funny.
Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't have known.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. I certainly didn't know.
So, on a funny note, like this is the same composer as Ghostbusters, and like during this sequence, there's some really Ghostbustery like musical cues that sound super reminiscent and like totally out of place. Because of just like how well you remember Ghostbusters, you know, like ooh, like really with like that's like the satellite music.
Okay, we'll just accept it. But they save the day, and then they have a little dance party. But I read that the original ending was that the world ends.
See, that's the change in tone again. Like that would have been really weird.
Yeah, that would have been like where I feel like that's definitely a moment to where it's like, and get this, then the world ends. Like they're like the writers themselves are excited about it, but the problem is that you don't set any of that up at all, you know.
No, and then so they had to reshoot the save the day ending on a soundstage because they didn't get it on location.
Admittedly funny, you know. I don't know why they're in charge of diplomacy of what happens between the two countries. They're basically playing a board game, deciding who keeps what, in terms of the global map, which is funny.
Yeah, and they're just like making out in there, like Chevy Chase and Donna Dixon have hooked up. Dan Aykroyd is with the Russian woman who is just a boots on the ground soldier.
Yeah. Blink and you're confused why she's there type of thing.
Yep. And he comes out of the room and he's like, yeah, you know, negotiations are very tense. We have to be very careful. And you go inside and they're playing Trivial Pursuit, which seems unfair to the Russians to be playing a game that's not in their language.
Yeah. Did you also notice that like their Russian contacts who were dressed like they just came from the country club spoke perfect like American English, and then when we were revealed as bad guys, now they had Russian accents. Like, oh, finally, I don't have to use those muscles so much in my mouth, we can speak with our in our English with Russian accents.
Mm-hmm. Silly. So what moments, Jordan, jumped out to you as being like still warm memories?
Definitely the doctor bit. Like that's going into putting the movie on. That's what I was quoting to myself. Like that's what I remember the most. Yeah. And then honestly, the test cheating scene, because I like all that slapstick stuff. I loved that scene as a kid. And then a lot of the middle and end stuff, like I had completely forgotten because it's kind of, as you said, broad, and it's a little boring too.
It's a little boring. It gets a little too serious.
Yeah.
Where it's like, wait, I didn't sign up for an actual spy movie.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like I just want to see these guys be super silly and be in all these awkward, fun situations is what I want.
Yeah, and it's weird. So I guess we say that we wish it had more stakes and that the characters did more and were more serious, and then the story becomes more serious, and it's a bit of a bummer. Yeah. What we're really saying is that the characters have nothing to do with anything, and they don't have any influence or impact even on each other. It's not that they themselves are kind of like magically the ones who are able to pull everything off and then reverse what they've done. But there's no sense of what this character wants and the conflict to get it. They're just basically being themselves in every scene. And when we say it's a bummer that things are serious, it suddenly starts to become, oh, we're going to start World War III. And if the characters, I do kind of like the general. He did
play it really earnestly.
Yeah, I really liked him, but yeah, it's just that it was not in like you can do a version of that that's a little more entertaining. That's got a little more fun to it, even if it goes dark or goes real.
Yeah, like I was waiting for that moment that you do get in Three Amigos where Chevy Chase wants to like fuck off and burn it all down.
Yes.
And Dan Aykroyd says, "No, we have to take this seriously. We're spies. We've been entrusted. We have to go save the day." And like for Chevy Chase to have that sort of come to Jesus moment where he has to like put his petty shit aside and then come and save the day.
It's about the characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what Three Amigos did so well is like El Guapo was like legitimately a step ahead of them and able to disregard any of their antics. And then they were in danger, you know? And then the Three Amigos themselves had that conflict and were pushing and pulling against themselves as well.
Which is what we're missing in Spies Like Us. And even the woman character, it doesn't ever seem like she'll be like, "What is with you guys?" But she's never like, "You guys need to get it together."
She lets them goof off as much as possible. Like the real spies are cartoony as well.
Right.
Like she doesn't seem real at all. It would have been nice if she was like legitimately like Rebecca Ferguson from like Mission Impossible. It's like, what the F are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like, I am going to purposely put you in danger so you die and I can do the actual mission without distraction, you know?
Yeah, that would have been great too.
There should have been conflict. Yeah. Instead, she was like, oh, whatever, you guys, come on.
I love you, Chevy Chase.
Yeah, she was literally just there, yeah.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 nuclear missile that will end all of humanity unless we stop it in time to 10 missiles that will end humanity unless we stop it in time, how many missiles do we give Spies Like Us? I'll let you go first, Jordan, since this is your
please, Jordan.
treasured movie.
Okay. I want to say just 4 because I was so disappointed, but I'm going to give it 5 because the nostalgic factor still is going to weigh in, and it still kind of brings me to that halfway point.
Okay.
I'll give it 5 missiles.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Very, very stingy with your missiles.
Yes.
I love it.
Well, I mean, they're very dangerous. I have to be careful.
You do. You don't want to stockpile them. You want to give them out.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think, Nathan?
Ooh, I'm totally on the same page as Jordan. Like, I kind of want to give it a 4 because I'm kind of angry at it.
Yeah.
For having, it's like, no, we used to be such good friends. You've betrayed me.
I trusted you.
You're supposed to save the Force, not betray it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna give it I think a 5 is probably where I'm gonna settle on, even though my first reaction is to give it a 4.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go a smidge higher than you guys. I don't know why, but I didn't hate it. I thought it was just fine. And having never seen it before, experiencing it for the first time, I didn't know what to expect. And although I was confused and disappointed, I wasn't mad at it. So I'll give it a 5.5. I'm giving it an extra 5-point bump.
That's fair.
A 0.5 bump. Because I thought it was just okay. I was really expecting it to be like Top Secret.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was expecting. And I was disappointed that there weren't more Bob Hopes traipsing through.
Oof. Uh-huh.
And there was so much opportunity with the drive-in movie theater that was the spy base of operations. There was so much opportunity for just slapstick gold there. I think they should have ramped it up a little bit more, but I didn't hate it for sure. So what about a deep cut recommendation? If you like Spies Like Us, or if you were disappointed in Spies Like Us, or if you once loved Spies Like Us, what movie should you what should you experience next? It doesn't have to be a movie. It can be anything at all, but your deep cut recommendation to go alongside Spies Like Us, Jordan.
Not sure how deep cut it is, but I'm thinking of all the elements that Spies Like Us failed at. And I recently watched the movie The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe.
Yes.
And I think that does a really good job of having two characters who are in conflict, really interesting, like, motive and goal that they're both trying to do. And it's really, really funny.
Yes.
Like, kind of blown away how funny that movie is. So if you haven't seen that movie, I would recommend that.
I haven't seen it. No, that's a good recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen one part of it where Russell Crowe breaks Ryan Gosling's arm.
Yes.
Because that part like resonated with me. He was like, take a deep breath, snap. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. It still makes my teeth hurt.
I second Jordan's recommendation.
Well, you have to have your own too.
Yes, I know. I do. I've got one, okay?
Okay, good. Because I'm not letting you get away with just seconding Jordan's recommendation. Although I do think Jordan's recommendation was very good.
Good.
Thank you.
What's yours, Nathan?
So I really enjoy like spy comedy.
Me too.
Besides Austin Powers, there's not actually a lot of good ones though.
It's true.
They're very kind of it's tough. Like, but there is one that I really enjoyed. So did you ever see the movie The Artist?
No.
Do you remember that one? So
it won the Oscar, right?
Yes. So I love that movie. I know it wasn't for everyone, but it was a French production. The star, super charismatic. But so he and the director previously did 2 spy comedies with the same character, very much kind of like a French James Bond, but a comedy. It doesn't get Austin Powers goofy, but it's more of a I would say a take on the Sean Connery era of spies.
Okay.
So it's called OSS 117 with Jean I'm totally gonna mangle his name, Jean Dujardin. Jean Dujardin.
I'm sure that's it.
Yeah,
that sounds perfect to me.
Yeah,
yeah, you nailed it.
Jean Dujardin. He's great. He's great in The Artist. He's great in OSS 117. It's a lot of fun. And I think you just rent it on Amazon.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, cool.
A great recommendation and a very filmmakery one as well, Nathan. Well done. So I was going to recommend something different, and then today it came to me. A spy movie that I really enjoyed as a younger person, which is relevant for two reasons. One that has to do with this movie, which is that Dan Aykroyd is also in it.
Mm.
And two, that one of its stars passed away today.
Oh,
and
no.
Yeah.
Oh, I know the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to recommend 1992's Sneakers.
It's a great one.
It has an amazing cast: River Phoenix, Ben Kingsley. Just so many people are in this movie, and it's about a team of hackers, 1992 era hackers, who have to break into like a government mainframe to stop a terrible thing from happening. And it's a really great espionage sort of movie that stars, Dan Aykroyd and Robert Redford, who I love and who will be greatly missed.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was a really fun movie that made me fall in love with him. Well, no, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid made me fall in love with him. But this movie cemented that love because I would watch it with my dad all the time. We loved it. Yeah. So I recommend Sneakers from 1992.
I'm going to add it to my list because I had never heard of it before now.
It's so charming. It's so charming.
It is. And I'm going to watch it with Rocket to see if it holds up.
Yeah. I feel like I saw it like 5 years ago, and my feeling was that it held up. Although all the hacking, like all 90s movies, is like magic. It's like completely...
It's just smashing keys and a keyboard.
Yeah, it's a magical device, but it's very charismatic.
And Dan Aykroyd plays the character in that movie that I think he should have played in this movie, which is just sort of a conspiracy theory data nerd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So excellent, well done. Spies Like Us, we give you 5 to 5.5 stars. Nathan. We'll start with Jordan. Jordan, where can people find your art and support you out in the world?
Sure. I'm at Neighborhood Comedy Theater every first Friday of the month with Musical Catering Company. So we do about an hour and a half musical on the spot. It's super fun. And then I'm also at the theater throughout the month as well, just popping in for shows.
Being hilarious. Doing some improv.
Doing some improv, yeah.
Excellent. You can find out about all the information you need to see the Musical Catering Company and more at nctphoenix.com. It's N for neighborhood, C for comedy, T for theater, and Phoenix all spelled out .com. Nathan, where can people support you in your filmmaking endeavors?
Yeah, Squishy Studios. That's the easiest way if you want to check out our shorts web series and our feature film, The Last Movie Ever Made.
Excellent. And you can listen to me on Gank That Drank, a supernatural drinking game podcast, also a True Story FM product. And if you're here with us at the end, it's because you want more. You want more of what we have to offer. You want to hear more of what we have to say. And possibly you hate ads in your podcast. I mean, I know we're all used to it, but maybe you hate it. In which case, you should become a member at True Story FM. Just click on our little podcast and click on the little button, and you can become a member for just $5 a month. You get episodes early and ad free. and you get some extra special bonus content at the end, which is super, super duper fun. And if you don't feel like spending any money, you can still support the podcast by rate, review, subscribe, thumbs up, tell a friend, tell your local spy contingents, whether they are decoys or the real thing. Let them know they should be listening to the pod. And while you're out there in the world, please keep the most excellent 80s movies podcast motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party on.
Party on.
Dudes.
Party on.
Dudes.